It's the 12 days of Gamer Logic Christmas, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about video game systems I'd love to see underneath my Christmas tree. Happy holidays, everyone. I hope you're enjoying some time off with your family, friends, and getting ready to settle in for the rest of the year. New decade right upon us, and today I wanted to do something a little different for a video for our annual 12 Days of Gamer Logic Christmas. You know, I have actually never received a video game console on Christmas, or Christmas Eve for that matter. Not that I'm complaining by any means here. It's just for whatever reason, the timing of a new game system for us was always my birthday or my little brother's birthday. And for Christmas, it was always the games that we would be getting. So I thought, okay, if I could ask for anything like right now that's like video game system related, video game console related specifically, what would I want? What would be like the three things I would want under my tree for a video game console? Because as you guys know, my collection is pretty vast. I've got some rare consoles. I have picked up stuff over the ages that I tried to get into, like the PCFX, ended up getting rid of it. But there are three consoles that I would love to have in my collection, and I would love to see them under my Christmas tree. And then I guess we'll start backwards. We will start with number 3, which is a Sharp X68000. It's actually a computer, and the reason I'm so drawn to this computer is because it has a lot of arcade perfect ports that were released on it. For example, Final Fight. And from what I understand, the Sharp was actually used in the programming of several of very popular, very famous arcade games like Strider, Final Fight. So it's a floppy disk based system, and it's got all these different modules that you can get. You can get a different sound module for it, a few different sound modules actually. It takes floppy disks. And to me, one of the coolest things about the Sharp X68000 is the game boxes. They remind me of the PCFX boxes or even the Neo Geo Shock boxes that you can get for the Neo Geo AES. Big artwork, big instruction manuals, and floppy disks. I mean, I know floppy disks aren't the most suitable format for storing data, but there's just something really cool about it. And the other thing is, being a huge Castlevania fan, I would love, even if I just didn't own a Sharp computer, would be the Sharp X68000 version and the actual original version that they remade of Castlevania. We know it as Castlevania Chronicles that came out on the PlayStation, but this is the original version. And just having that big box with the cool artwork, the floppy disk in the computer, I just think that would be really neat. I always hear Retronauts talking about, I don't remember what game convention it is, but they have a game convention they usually go to, and the Sharp is always on display with its original roll-in speakers and everything with it, and it just looks and sounds amazing. So to wake up on Christmas Day and pull that sucker out from underneath my tree with a couple of games, man, that would be cool. Now, to be completely fair as far as it goes for video game systems, getting them on Christmas, I did get a Game Boy for Christmas Eve. Now, even though it wasn't a under the tree deal, I guess if you were to make an exception, this is the one system that I did get for Christmas Eve. So along with that, the second most desired system that I would like to have underneath my Christmas tree one year is the Bandai WonderSwan. It could be the black and white version. It could be the color version. I believe there was a color version. And if you're unfamiliar with what that handheld is, it was basically made by the original creator of the Game Boy, Gunpei Yokoi, I believe the pronunciation of his name is. But he created this system pretty much after he left Nintendo. You know, he created the Game Boy. He was really, really well liked in the company, had some great ideas, really created a ton of great products and games for Nintendo overall. He was part of the Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy tanked, even though he was really pressured to release it. And he was kind of shunned in the company, for what I understand, after the failure of the Virtual Boy, and just kind of like relegated to like events and nowhere near the status that he used to have, which is really sad. So he eventually left Nintendo and he developed the WonderSwan. And this is a cool console. It's got a cool shape. I believe you can adjust around kind of like an Atari Lynx. And for me, the big draw for this is there is a variety of different games on there. I believe there is Clock Tower, which I'm a big fan of, and Final Fantasy 1 and 2 had their own ports on there, and they just look beautiful. In fact, I think there's actually a Final Fantasy Crystal Edition WonderSwan. It's a cool console. I think there's a flash cart for it as well. I probably wouldn't get a lot of playtime in it, but it'd be something cool to have in my collection. So again, something really cool to have under the tree. And finally, my most desired game system, game console to have underneath the Christmas tree on Christmas Day would be a MSX2 computer. There's so many different models of these things, and I see a lot of people on Twitter actually buying them, restoring them. I've always had this desire to own an MSX ever since realizing that the original port, or not even original port, the original version of Metal Gear was on this system. And then of course it actually had Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake, which was an unbelievable game. You know, it really blew my mind getting access to the internet and finding out that the true sequel to Metal Gear was not Snake's Revenge, but Metal Gear Solid Snake. So that'd be another computer I'd love to own. The particular model I want to say is actually, might even be a Sharp. I'd have to bring it up, but it's like a black computer with orange writing on it, and it's just got this extremely like clacky sounding keyboard to it. It's just so cool sounding. Of course it takes a variety of things, but it accepts game cartridges. And if I had an MSX2 underneath my tree, well, what would I go after? Of course it would have to be Castlevania, which was I think technically an MSX1 game, I'm not positive, but Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. Fortunately, those games are very, 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 very expensive, and as such, you really got to pay a pretty penny for them. But there is a flash cart available for the MSX2, and it would be cool to at least be able to play the original games on that system. And there's a variety of stuff that came out from like Square and other companies on there that I would love to just get my hands on and play. In fact, my original Xbox that I have soft modded has an MSX emulator on there, and it plays stuff pretty good, but I'd love just to have that full setup with the keyboard and play it, and coming down and pulling that box out and opening it up on Christmas Day, that would be really cool. So that is the end of my kind of top 3 systems I'd love to get under the tree for Christmas. What systems would you like to get underneath your Christmas tree? Or what systems have you got under the Christmas tree before? I know there's that famous video of the Nintendo 64 kid out there. Everyone knows what that is, but share some of your Christmas memories with us. We'd love to hear it on the YouTube channel, on the Facebook page, and of course you can always head over to www.gamerlogic.net and check that content out over there. For all of you out there, no matter what holiday you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate at all, please have a very safe, happy holidays and enjoy the rest of your year. See you next year.